you just weren't pronouncing some players' names right all year, so I'll take this one right.
Brian Ibler. Brian Ibler Gaming. All right, Captain America up 2-0. If he wins BlizzCon, we should give him a trophy that's a shield.
Well, actually, pretty much all the trophies have been. He has a shield already. Oh no, he got a mug. He didn't even get a shield.
Oh,
in winter, it was a mug.
Yeah, that's right.
He does not have a shield.
Yeah, he's kind of out of the club for now. I mean, you see that glowing blue swirly trophy to the left of your screen. That is the actual BlizzCon trophy.
Handsome guy has an extra shield. Maybe he can loan it.
There you go. He can form the Justice League together for Hearthstone. Amnesiac going to go to Druid versus Hunter and try to see if he can secure a 3-0 lead. Yulsic, this is definitely a matchup he can certainly win. I mean, Desert Camel is insane against Druid because they just don't really run one-mana minions. A lot of their plays are just spells early on.
Well, and in particular with the Fiery Bat in Yulsic's opening hand, his Desert Camel is guaranteed to bring out an injured Cavaldier.
Thank you.
We got that K in there. Don't worry about it. I got that.
And, my new favorite card. Made me $5 richer.
And Amnesiac with the Wild Growth. He has a lot of ramp in hand, but very little to do with it. Just a swipe and Living Roots for actual spells.
Yeah, this is the point where I have a little gif of Life Coach playing in my head of him going, Pya! Desert Camel! Because he loves this card, and he swears by it so much. Desert Camel, a card that came out, which definitely was underestimated at first, but when you're able to swing tempo boards states like this, it's super powerful. And how does Druid really fight back? You're constantly being able to pressure your opponent from this position.
Got a swipe, which clears off the 2 beasts, which is crucial against the deck with Houndmaster, but still does leave that 2/3 body of the injured Cavaldier. And there's a huge toad, so beasts are still in business here for Yulsic.
Yeah, Yulsic's Hunter definitely is the slower variant, having cards like Ragnaros, Stranglethorn Tiger, which you saw in the Mulligans.
That's not slow, though. Amnesiac can play a Malygos this turn if he wants to.
Oh, yeah.
He can actually just double innervate out Malygos. This is turn 4.
It's scary because you know Yulsic is running the double deadly shot version of the Hunter.
Oh, he is. That's true, yeah.
It does feel risky, but he's going to take it.
Yeah, Amnesiac he must feel like he's so far behind, he needs to take a big risk. And this is the sort of thing that will often separate players who are able to identify that kind of situation. He does recognize, okay, I'm under a ton of pressure, my hand's weak. This may be risky, but I'm going to go for it because this is my best chance to win.
I love it. I love it. Being able to put out the pressure as much as he can to turn the tides, because Yulsic was starting to stack an advantage, and Yulsic, you could just see the exasperation onto his face. If he had a deadly shot, he would immediately play it. But now he's staring at Malygos, who's ready to make some fireworks. And at this point, Amnesiac only has a Living Roots, but that Raven Idol can pick up something nice,
this could be huge. Raven Idol gives a lot of options that are really good with Malygos.
Swipe, perhaps?
What's in the box?
Starfall would also be great, too.
Ooh, nothing. Nothing that's affected by spell power. He does find Bite and Mark of the Wild. Bite does give him the ability to clear 2 minions, or actually, no, the entire board this turn. He's going to go with Mark of the Wild. So he saw that there was no deadly shot. Now he's just all in on this Malygos. He's going to build himself a gigantic taunting minion, and he's going aggressive. He's attacking Yulsic in the face.
Yeah, I like it. He says, I'm not going to bother with this trade. You don't even have any beast synergies anyways. My only chance is to ride Malygos all the way home.
And that Nourish in his hand can pick up some additional damage. His burst here that he could potentially pick up. Oh, but there's deadly shot just on time for Yulsic. Amnesiac goes all in on Malygos, and it is gone.
Yeah, I had already a bunch of subtitles ready for Amnesiac, Captain of America, Father of Dragons, or I guess the Tamer of Dragons. He's a little too young to be a father. It's a family show, Kibler. You have Arcane Giant here for 5, and while it's really strong, I think Amnesiac is going to be looking for more because there's 6 represented on the board. Needs to stabilize and stop taking damage. Wrath's a good start. Oh man, if only he was able to keep the Malygos.
Yeah. Malygos had stuck around. Well, generally if Malygos sticks around for very long period, you're in pretty good shape, but yeah, Yulsic, he has that Eagle Horn bow. Just gonna drop the high main though. Pretty tough for Amnesiac to come back from here. There's 5 bursts from the kill command. Oh, he does pick up a Feral Rage, give him a little bit more breathing room, and 2 8/8s, not bad.
Really strong board. 2 8/8s. I mean, your opponent's at 22. If you're able to generate a little bit more damage, perhaps a second swipe. But is he dead on the backswing? Yulsic has 8 plus the Eagle Horn bow and hero power. Or he has Kill Command and Eagle Horn Bow.
It's not quite. He has 8 on board, so 13 with the Kill Command, and then 16 with the bow. So he's just shy, but
he could get Huffer off the Animal Companion.
It's true.
And that would be 17.
He can also just Houndmaster here and ensure that Amnesiac doesn't have the possibility of attacking through and actually potentially killing him with anything, because he's just shy of lethal this turn. But so he doesn't have to go for it. He could Animal Companion, and if he did get exactly Huffer, then he has the kill right now. But there's no need to risk anything, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. While he could play the Animal Companion, you know, in the instances of Leok, for example, and you miss, I guess you could also follow it with the Houndmaster, but I think this is just more guaranteed, perhaps.
So you end up putting your opponent down to just 4 life. You have Kill Command Hero Power next turn, and it is Mire Keeper. That will not do it. Yulsic is looking to get his way back into the series.
Yeah, thankfully so. You know, you don't want to go down 0-4. Game number 4 about to begin. Amnesiac is still up 2-1. Still feeling pretty comfortable. I mean, the Hunter has been a very potent deck. It's interesting that the mid-range version was being brought here by Yulsic, and now he has 3 decks remaining. Keep in mind that Amnesiac banned the Mage, very unusual choice. But so far, it's working out for him. As long as he maintains his lead, he'll be in a good position to close out the series.
Yeah, Amnesiac's remaining decks are the traditional Malagos Druid deck, and then kind of an old-school Control Warrior. We were talking about this a little bit before, that it is playing. He doesn't play Yogg-Saron. He's actually playing kind of the original Alex Straza plus Baron Geddon sort of big minion package, and that will be what we see in this game.
Yeah, in fact, it's older than Amnesiac itself, this build of Control Warrior. I'm pretty sure when I was Amnesiac's age, I was playing Control Warrior with Alex Straza and Gorehowl. But Amnesiac's playing this version. Of course, it has the standard cards, but instead of Death's Bite, you have, say, Ravaging Ghoul, or instead of the Shield Maiden, you have Ironforge Portal. So not quite one-to-one, but it does function similarly and does have the same weaknesses. Although, you know, traditionally, the Control Warrior definitely had its struggles against the mid-range Shaman, even before mid-range Shaman became as dynamic as it is.
Though that interaction, I think, has changed, because previously, part of the reason that Warrior struggled with Shaman was that Shaman tended to have a lot of big threats, though Yulsic is playing a relatively heavy version that does include Ragnaros in addition to Think Below and Fire Elemental. And he does not have a copy of Bloodlust, which is one of the most important cards to actually just make your board of totems into a big threat. He does have Harrison Jones, though, which can be very crucial dealing with Amnesiac's Gorehowl late in the game.
All right, I have some questions, Kibler.
Okay.
I was taught once upon a time, young Frodan one time ventured out in ladder, and somebody was looking over my shoulder, and they saw that I didn't coin Totem Golem, and I got whipped for that, verbally, of course, not physically. For a long time about how you should coin Totem Golem, especially against an opponent that can't kill it immediately, and he chose not to. What do you think about the fact that Yulsic decided to hold the coin in anticipation for his following turns?
I think this is kind of a potentially different dynamic in this matchup, because he does have a lot of expensive cards that can be accelerated out with that coin that can be quite valuable. And coining out a Totem Golem, you know, obviously against Warrior, they can't immediately kill it right away, but sometimes you'll get 6 damage from it, and then you've lost the coin and the ability to accelerate something else out that might give you a bigger tempo advantage later on.
Okay, and I mean, he has 3 5-mana plays, although 2 of them you don't necessarily want to play on 5 either. Well,
having the coin can make those 6-mana plays with the Thunderbolt Valiant into a activation of your hero power. So I can definitely understand Yulsic deciding to save the coin, particularly given the context of his hand.
That's fair. And now he gets to reap the benefits if he wants to coin out the Azure Drake, or if he wants to play a little bit slower. Hero powering against the Warrior, though, is definitely a significant threat, even if it doesn't look that powerful. I know that when this matchup was first being played, Firebat was actually the one coaching me in the very beginning. He wasn't the one whipping me, by the way, for Totem Golem, but he was saying that you can just hero power every turn, and if you ensure you do that, you'll just guarantee win over the long run. Warrior will fatigue out of resources, because if they see 4 totems and a Blood Mage Nanos, they're still super scared of what you could build off of that. And you can definitely keep their resources in check.
Part of that, though, was always due to Bloodlust, and Yulsic is not playing that card, so his ability to actually make a significant threat out of his board. Also, in many cases, you'd have things like Defender of Argus that could give you additional value from your totems. Yulsic does have the Thunderblood Valiant, though. That's the real big late-game value killer that comes from those big totem boards. All right.
Wow. That's a pretty aggressive push here from Yulsic to coin out these Feral Spirits, but it is protected for now. Yeah. Amnesiac does have ways to reach through it, though. Cards like Bash have a lot of utility, specifically for this reason.
Yeah, this gives, if Amnesiac does kill the Flame Tongue Totem, he can remove one of those wolves with his weapon. And then Yulsic is left with really nothing on his turn that's going to have any real impact. He will have just the wolf in play and then can use his hero power and not really building up to much. And did use his coin, so that plan of potentially coining out the Thunderblood Valiant to use the Inspire ability immediately on 6 mana is not going to be available.
Yeah, and, well, I guess that the nice thing is that he has his Azure Drake, which can pretty much gain him tempo if his opponent plays anything on 6 mana for Lightning Bolt, plus the Spirit Claws attack. That's why I do like the ability to set it up to have that flexibility.
That's a big draw from Amnesiac, though. The Baron Geddon is a card that allows the Control Warrior to kind of passively deal with all of those totem boards from the Shaman. And Amnesiac cannot play it just yet, but that does give him, I imagine, some peace of mind knowing that he has the ability to clear things off.
Yeah, and one of the points that you were hammering home, Brian, was the fact that Amnesiac has tailored a lot of his decks to try and have the advantage against Shaman. That's why you see 2 Revenges, Baron Geddon, 2 Brawls. He's tried to outfit his deck so that he can fight, even though normally the Warrior, if it's building out traditionally, can struggle against the Shaman. Amnesiac caught with a little bit of an awkward turn, though. He definitely wants to think about the merits of playing things like Acolyte and getting card draw, but at the same time, it's not exactly secure because he knows how easy it is to get snipes. Does he just pass in this position?
Looks like he's holding out, maybe playing that Acolyte. It can run into a Fire Elemental immediately. He does also have Revenge in hand, and would love to just play Acolyte Revenge, clear some things off. One problem being the fact that there's that healing totem on the opposing side of the board, so if he does just kind of wait and try and get Revenge value, those are going to heal up. And it's not going to go terribly well for him. But Spell Power from the Azure Drake does turn on Spirit Claws, so just 1 card from the Acolyte for Amnesiac here.
Yeah, Amnesiac definitely not happy to see his Acolyte snipe, but I think he was expecting very much the same. If not the Azure Drake, it could be another Spell Power minion, maybe the Totem, or even Fire Elemental.
And now this is an interesting turn for Amnesiac. He doesn't have a great clear hit on anything particularly valuable with Gorehowl, and he does know that Yulsic has the Harrison Jones. He is also going into a 7 mana turn against Yulsic, which means that the totems in play can be very threatening. So that's one incentive to possibly drop the Baron Geddon, but he hasn't really seen any of the removal from Yulsic, and Yulsic does have Spirit Claws up and will be guaranteed to have spell power, so he can definitely remove this next turn, but Yulsic does at least get the opportunity to clear off all those totems before Yulsic can use Thunderbluff Valiant.
Yeah, turn 7 is one of the most threatening from Shaman. Just the fact that if you have a few totems already, plus the Thunderbolt Valiant adding all that damage, then you're stuck in a really bad position. And Amnesiac doesn't even have Brawl, so this is his best play to force the opponent off of his initial game plan of just pressuring him.
One of the crazy things here, though, Yulsic has Blood Mage Thalnos. He could just Blood Mage Thalnos Lightning Bolt and take out the Baron Geddon for just a single mana.
Yeah.
7 mana for 1 is pretty crazy in terms of that exchange.
And he does have the ability to still use his Thunderbluff hero power next turn because he only overloads for 1. So that does seem to work out really conveniently.
Yeah, and he also, if he wants to, could load the board a little bit, just a little bit with a Flame Tongue Totem as well. And now that the Baron Geddon is gone, Amnesiac's only AoEs until he gets down to Revenge range that can really clear the board. I'll do 2 draws.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of that. Although Yulsic seems to be sequencing primarily to get that damage in first.
Oh, he's got Hex. Okay. Decides that he just wants to use the Hex. There aren't that many good Hex targets in Amnesiac's deck that he cares about a ton. There is Sylvanas and Grom are really the only things, along with that Alexstrasza, that he'd really want to Hex. But I am a little bit surprised that he didn't choose to use the Lightning Bolt, though perhaps he's just looking to push as much damage as possible and save those Lightning Bolts to end the game immediately.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the amount of damage he can do next turn, assuming everything survives, he would be well over lethal right now. So he's just kind of hedging his bets a little bit, making sure that he can try to pressure Warrior, because he knows what Warrior wants is time. He just wants to be able to stack the advantage, not die, keep clearing the board, and eventually utilize whatever ends up being the late game, whether it's killing with Grom or whether it's at least Starseeker and the Golden Monkey.
Yeah, and this does leave Amnesiac with kind of awkward situation in terms of his potential mana utilization. You know, he has that Gorehowl in hand, but not a good window to play it. And Justicar Trueheart is great if you have time, as you mentioned, but he doesn't seem to have that now, given the aggressive stance that Yulsic has taken.
He does have the ability to be really defensive with gaining life. I don't know if that's exactly what he wants immediately. Looks like he's going to go with the Justicar and execute, just try to minimize the damage, but still set up his tank up to be useful in the following turns. Can't really blame him. Tank up is one of the strongest things in Hearthstone. Is that enough damage to kill him?
There's the 2 lightning bolts that have spell power from Yulsic here, so he has 8 plus the 3. So he can only guarantee generate 11 here, going through the taunt. And
spell damage off the Air Wrath Totem wouldn't give him enough either.
No, not quite enough to potentially represent lethal.
Yeah, but play the Thunderbluff Valiant and make the nightmares a reality here. Start pressuring.
And he gets spell damage too, so if he can actually just use his claws to clear off the Justicar Trueheart and still push 5 damage to the face with that 1 totem.
Which coincidentally makes it activate Revenge as opposed to leaving him not at range if he didn't have it.
Yeah, he could choose to try and play around the Revenge as well.
Yes.
Yulsic here has to be debating, okay, can I put Amnesiac in a position where I can threaten lethal next turn and not be concerned about getting my board sweeps by a Revenge here? And it looks like that's perhaps what he's doing. Yeah, he's just going to go ahead and clear with the 5 damage. Very heads-up play from Yulsic here. Choosing not to maximize his damage, but instead play around Revenge as much as he can.
Right. Of course, Amnesiac can enable Revenge by using Gorehowl to attack into the Thunderbluff Valiant and then Revenge. That is a little expensive in terms of health, but you do get the board clear. The other problem, though, is that your opponent plays Harrison Jones. So while you do have the weapon up, which normally feels like a comfortable position, you have the Gorehowl, your board's clear, you have tank up. It also could be very threatening.
Yeah, and definitely Amnesiac sees the play from Yulsic playing around the Avenge. Has to imagine that Yulsic's going to have the ability to push for lethal, if that Thunderbluff survives. And even if the Thunderbluff dies, its ability is still on all of these totems, so they're all threats in their own right. And yeah, Amnesiac recognizes, I have to enable Revenge by attacking to this, and then clear off the board. So down to just 9 life. Yulsic has 8 right now. He has Blood Mage double bolt. If he's able to roll a spell power totem, he can end the game immediately.
Yep, 1 and 4 right here. And this is what he's been saving the lightning bolts for.
That's not spell power. So now, because he did this first, he doesn't have the Thunderbluff buff on that, so it's not as impactful as it could be. He can choose to Feral Spirits and just widen the board a bit, but it's also worth noting, that Amnesiac can use his life total as a resource if he is able to find, say, Alexstrasza, which is in his deck. That's one of the big things about Alexstrasza. It allows you to more aggressively use your life total as a resource and then just go back up to 15 immediately.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the struggles of Control Warrior when Whispers of the Old Gods came out. It rotated Shield Maiden out, so it didn't really have a lot of reliable health gain. But with the advent of Ironforge Portal, it just gives you some opportunity to climb back in.
And Yulsic was 1 damage off lethal this turn, but look at Amnesiac's hand. He has Shield Block, he has Portal, he has Shield Slam, he has all these tools to
tank up.
Yeah, tank up. He has all these tools to just get right back into this game, despite being pushed so far close to death. Ooh, and
he wants to get to Ragnaros as fast as he can, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that Yulsic recognizes that the window for him to just burn Amnesiac out is likely closing, and that he's going to need to have another big push in terms of substantial minions rather than actually just win the game with those lightning bolts.
All right, let's see what Shield Block picks up here. There's no Bloodhoof Brave or Taunts that I can see in his deck.
Oh, that's a good one.
Wow, Ravage Ghoul is excellent pick-up here.
Yeah, that lets him take out the Blood Mage Thalnos, which removes spell damage from Yulsic, crucially, in terms of those bolts or potential future claws. Leaves him with just 1 minion on board.
That's massive.
And leaves him with mana tank up. So now all the way up to 16, very much out of range of those lightning bolts.
Yeah, and he needs to keep things like Shield Slam for the threats such as Thing from Below or the Thunderbluff Valiant. And Yulsic, He was 1 damage off the previous turn, but yet all of a sudden he finds himself off by a lot more now.
This is what Warrior does. You know, Amnesiac just taking his time, as you mentioned, getting that time. Even that one window of 1 turn has taken Yulsic from 1 damage away to really looking like he has an uphill battle.
Yeah, and he still hasn't hit some of his really swingy cards. Remember, he's teched his Shaman deck specifically with Harrison Jones to try and overtake the Warriors and corner it. He has Ragnaros to add the damage as well, because sometimes you lack finishing potential if you take out the Bloodlust. Yulsic doesn't have any card draw either, so he's just stuck with the tools that he has here. Does he extend onto the board? He hasn't seen Brawls yet. He's only seen 1 Revenge. He could also just be playing straight into the Warriors' hands if he just pretty much all into.
Yeah, looks like Yulsic is going to go ahead and make a totem and bolt this away. Wants to protect his Spirit Wolf here. And Yulsic has not seen a single Brawl yet either, so he has to be worried that, you know, committing too much to the board, especially when Amnesiac has Gorehell up, because Brawl plus a weapon in play generally means everything's gone.
Yeah, it is interesting that Yulsic, you know, he's just extending onto the board slightly by leaving Thunderbluff Valiant behind. I think this is a soft test for the Brawl. There is also the idea that you want to make Gorehell's attacks awkward, so you wait for him to use his 5 attack first before playing Thing from Below, because he also just plays Ravaging Ghoul. So Yulsic extending a little bit onto the board to make it clean for the Warrior, which is something that is always interesting to see, but I think it's because Yulsic feels like he's out of time, and he actually wants Warrior to attack, so that way he can get the damage in, potentially draw Ragnaros, and end this game.
Yeah, the way that you have to play against Warrior before and after they get Justicar Trueheart is pretty different, because the more time they get with tank up, the further and further out of reach they get, so you need to play a bit more aggressively quite often after they have Justicar Trueheart, because you don't really have the time.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Amnesiac tanks up, eliminates that Thing from Below. He is at 13 health, and his opponent is going to have 3, 7. No, not enough. I was counting if he was able to maximize everything, even with Spirit Claws, but he doesn't have enough mana to do that.
Yeah, so he has 3. Yeah, he had 4 from the Thunderbluff Valiant if he activated it, so he'd have 7, and then if he got Spell Power, he'd have 11.
Plus the Spirit Claws, if he had enough mana to do
that too. If he actually had he was non-overloaded, he might be able to pull it off.
Oh man,
that's the Spell Power.
That is the Innkeeper laughing at you in the background right there, because you know if you didn't have that overload, that would be the damage.
Yeah, the game would be over if Yulsic were not overloaded, but he's just going to push through to the face. Yeah, this is still Spirit Claws here, a lot of damage, representing 9 damage for just 1 mana. And Yulsic, he's debating whether he wants the Hex here. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and take Grum off the table.
Yeah, quickest debate ever. I'd watch that one. Well, Amnesiac picks up a second Ironforge portal with the tank up. Almost certainly feels like he's pretty much out of the woods from the direct damage, but he has to also be concerned about the totem count, because there are 3 totems, which means Thunderbluff Valley number 2 is plus 6 damage.
And that Gorehell's getting close to a nub. He doesn't have that many more attacks with eventually just, broke off on McFerrin's face.
Well, it doesn't actually break.
It's true, it actually sits there. You can still hang out with it, but...
Wow, Amnesiac actually being really heads up here. A lot of people are going to wonder why Amnesiac hero powered before playing it, but if you saw yesterday's games, there was an incident where Spawn of Shadows came out, and even though you do get opportunities like Murloc Knight and Tournament Medic, the downsides heavily outweigh the upsides. Very heads up play there.
All right, well, the Maelstrom Portal is still up, which allows Yulsic to, or rather I said Maelstrom Portal still up. I was thinking Maelstrom Portal, he did not draw it, but the Wrath of Air Totem would have made Maelstrom Portal a pretty reasonable draw for Yulsic here to clear the board and allow him to push through some more damage. Mana Tide, never too bad. Yeah. But he's not able to defend it right now unless he does get a Stoneclaw Totem. And this is kind of slipping away from Yulsic. That tank up every turn is getting Amnesiac further away, and Yulsic's just running out of resources.
Yeah. Yulsic looking like one of those kids at the water park running up the slides. Just feels like he's not making any progress at all. And just like you said, he's fallen more and more behind. It's supposed to be the point where you're closing in on your target. He's going to be able to use his 2 Spirit Claws for 18 damage, and he's still very far off from killing his opponent. Especially Amnesiac has yet more life gain. But it's not over yet. I mean, one of the things, too, is that Amnesiac, for example, didn't get that strong of a minion off the Ironforge portal. Most likely just going to trade very easily with the Spirit Claws.
Yeah, Yulsic does have this this Manatide Totem. There's the Maelstrom Portal. Who's the next card?
Yeah.
And Amnesiac still has not found Brawl. He still doesn't have a clean way to clear this board. He can take out the Thunderblade Valiant. He can kill the Manatide Totem. They're still going to leave some bodies in this board, though.
And Amnesiac's trying to calculate how much can he allow this board tension to continue to build. Once again, looking for Ironforge Portal to help him, whether it's taunts, maybe even a charge minion. Wait, is that a Spawn of Shadows?
No, that's a Savage
Oh,
Combatant.
sorry. I saw the attack stats. I don't know. That
You
would
saw
have been
it was a 5-4 with Spire.
And I was like,
we were just talking about this.
He just played around at 2 turns in a row, and if he was rewarded for it. But, you know, one thing that's interesting with Savage Combatant is that it kind of makes it seem like Gorehau can keep attacking, but don't be confused. Savage Combatant only adds attack. And with that Harrison Jones pickup, Amnesiac also loses his totem killing tools.
Yeah, he was almost the nub, did get it gone, but this is actually very big for Yulsic because he generates a threat in the board, and now that Maelstrom Portal is going to clear off everything else along with an attack from the weapon. And Amnesiac needs to find Brawl. There's just an enormous board here, and now I think he's going to take 5 damage to the face, and I imagine this would die. Oh, maybe he actually could theoretically push, but yeah, going to go ahead and push 5 damage to the face here. I think Yulsic is debating, do I play the thing from below? Decides to play around the Brawl by keeping it in his hand.
Oh.
There's Brawl. So Amnesiac, we see a big
draw.
sigh of relief from the American.
Man.
I mean, he has been looking for Brawl for quite a while. Finally finds it, and this is a gigantic moment.
Oh yeah, settle it in the Brawl, the good old-fashioned American way. And let's see whatever pops out here. Definitely wants to isolate just the taunt totem. As long as the Harrison really doesn't survive, he's good to go. And taunt totem it is!
All right, so absolutely fantastic result from Amnesiac, and now he can just play the Acolyte of Pain. He's back at 20 life. He's ahead in this race now. Yulsic's at 13.
Oh, that's a nice draw, though.
It is, yeah. No, Yulsic is able to turn the tables right away. Big turn thanks to Thing from Below. I actually wonder what he's going to do with this Fire Elemental, because he could Fire Elemental the Acolyte to ensure that well, Revenge actually wouldn't do anything. It'd be a Ravaging Ghoul is the only thing that could actually get extra draws from Acolyte. But yeah, it just goes to the face. He recognizes, this Acolyte's not going to have the opportunity to get multiple cards. I just want damage.
Yeah, he wants damage. A second
That's another brawl.
I mean, Amnesiac's been looking for them all game long, and now that he sees his opponents essentially all in except for this one remaining card, is this the time to pull a trigger?
He recognizes he's high enough in life. He can play the Sylvanas, and he goes up to 21. He's able to preserve potentially getting a card from his Acolyte and ensure that if he brawls after this, he'll end up getting whatever does survive.
Both Spirit Calls have been used. Flame Tongue Toner has been used.
One Bolt has been used.
Both Valiants, Thunderblood Valiants have been used.
There's
How do you do damage from the hand?
It's
Ragnaros.
Basically this Lightning Bolt. This Lightning Bolt and Ragnaros are pretty much all Yulsic has left to burst. And now he's debating, okay, do I push for this 5 damage? Do I trade? Because if he trades right now, then he has a very high likelihood that Amnesiac just takes one of his totems.
Right.
But he does miss this 5 damage, which could make it difficult for him to come out on top here.
Yeah.
And yeah, he will just go to the face.
It's unlikely that your opponent has a second Brawl too if you're wondering about how to extend onto the board here. And, the Tunnel Trog does increase the chance of a substantial minion being taken, but it also decreases the chances that your Fire Elemental gets taken. Of course, he's not worried about the second Brawl. I mean, somewhere in the back of his mind, but we know that Amnesiac has that Brawl, and he is ready to swing the outcome in his favor and get the easy trade.
Sends the bolt to the face.
I like it, but I don't think it's enough.
No.
And I think this is going to be a convincing comeback here from Amnesiac.
And now Amnesiac can attack with his Acolyte first to ensure he gets the card draw. He can attack into the Thing from Below. And yeah, we'll do that.
And now Alexstrasza just to seal the deal.
And that's actually absolutely huge, because one of the few ways that Yulsic can get back into this game is that Ragnaros. And Alexstrasza can potentially get him out of range. And now Yulsic just cheering, all right, I want a small thing to win, and it does.
Yeah.
Manatide Totem. So Alexstrasza able to get Amnesiac out of any burst range next turn.
7 cards
Down
remaining.
10 life. Barnes
can also summon
Barnes for Ragnaros.
which would be actually even
Would be
better.
pretty huge.
There's not many minions left. No, it's just a Manatide.
But Manatide's good. Manatide gets him more resources. He can dig.
Oh, and the Taunt Totem is pretty significant as well.
He's protecting the Manatide. Revenge. Oh.
Wow, Revenge actually clears the board, but I mean, Alex Straza here gets the threat out.
Oh yeah, Alex Straza is absolutely what Amnesiac wants right now. And I think Amnesiac is looking at the fact that Revenge, Alex Straza weapon, is actually so close to just winning the game.
Yulsic just can't find his Ragnaros. He had Barnes to search for it, and the two Manatide, or the Manatide Tome that was remaining is also the one that was summoned from Barnes. He just drew that one.
All right, well, Maelstrom Portal can try and cause some more trouble for Amnesiac, but this is just slipping away.
Yeah, I think at this point, Yulsic, something to consider too is, you know, he might start hitting fatigue points, and he doesn't have a way to kill Alex Straza. He's going to take that damage most likely. And Amnesiac's also sort of at the bottom of his deck too, so if he runs into a Revenge, he's also in trouble. Well, actually, less so, because he healed himself back up to 50.
One more card. I think the last card in his deck is Lightning Storm.
Could be right. Hold on, he got Bash.
All right, well, this can just, the Revenge here.
Oh no, and Amnesiac not attacking the Taunt Totem last turn because he was trying to maximize his Revenge value.
Doesn't Revenge, oh no.
Has actually cost him the ability to kill this turn, because he was trying to be conservative with Revenge, or sorry, with his weapon charges, because he knows that Shaman's going to keep generating the totems, so he wanted his opponent to be able to land on not Taunt Totem. Because if he attacked the Taunt Totem and his opponent got the Taunt Totem again, he would have been in trouble. So Amnesiac this turn does not have the lethal, and yet he gives Yulsic this small opening.
If he, I was going to say, if he just bashes face right now, that it puts Yulsic down to 2, will he just guaranteed die to fatigue?
Oh, you're right.
He can't get rid of that Manatide.
Oh, I think you're right. Hold on, we have to see how many cards remain in Yulsic's
I believe there's only
deck.
1 card left in Yulsic's deck. Oh, he's 2 cards.
No, but he would draw 2 cards. So
right.
He
Well,
would
he can trade off one of these, right?
Yeah, he'd only take 1 damage.
I thought there was just 1 card left. So
he only can take 1 guaranteed damage because he passes his turn, and he knows that his opponent's running Ragnaros. So right now, what's the max damage Yulsic can do? He has 6 on board plus Ragnaros, so that's 14, and his opponent's at 20. And he has to trade in this Manatide Totem because he doesn't want to take too much damage. And he doesn't have a guaranteed way to kill his opponent. Plus, Azure Drake's a liability because it draws a card.
And if he attacks in with too many minions, he enables that Revenge to sweep his board.
Oh, you're so right, too. There's so many things he has to consider.
Yulsic is just in the pincher move here from Amnesiac. You know, if he leaves his things up, he dies to fatigue. If he attacks them in, then he's just this is just such a rough spot for the Hong Kong player.
The Alex Straza also is threatening to end the game.
Oh yeah, by the way, there's a dragon in play.
Yeah, so if he's not going to draw his Lightning Storm right now to kill off the Alex Straza, he has to hope that Ragnaros is going to be able to finish off Alex Straza, because if he doesn't, that's going to be lights out and a 3-1 advantage for Amnesiac. So Ragnaros just got to aim for the dragon.
He also does trade in the Manatide so he doesn't just kill himself with fatigue.
There you go. Smart play. And the Lightning Storm's just going to sit there on the bench. And Rag misses.
That is it. Alex Straza attacks in for the win, and Amnesiac has a 3-1 lead.
What a crucial victory for Amnesiac. Remember, he was trying to target. It's not hyperbole at all.
Yeah, it's actually not even any exaggeration.
That's right. Amnesiac, you know, just 16 years old, won his first championship when he was 15. And now looking to cement his legacy, up 3-1, 1 game away from advancing further into his group. And of course, winning a pack for everyone who's put his hope in him. I know a lot of Western players, specifically American players, have faith in it too, because NA gets sometimes a bad rap in Hearthstone, but they definitely have their strong players as well.
Well, Yulsic looking to put Hong Kong on the map. Gonna have an uphill battle to do that, though. This is a matchup that he may have kind of his best shot to get back on the board with his Zoo deck against Amnesiac's Druid.
It's not a bad start. Flame Imp is just one of the strongest cards that you can play on turn 1, if not the strongest, in terms of just raw stats. Being able to build up the advantage. He chooses not to in fear of, I guess, Living Roots to snipe that down.
Yep. He does. There's the living roots. Well, you're a prophet.
It feels like it's a very pessimistic outlook, and it almost becomes self-sabotaging in a way. Because now, for example, if you played the Flame Imp and your opponent used Living Roots, then your Knife Joker is a little bit more free. And then you also gave a lot of leeway to Druid. He's not taking that damage in the event that he didn't have a Living Roots.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And yeah, Yulsic is going to play the Knife Juggler, which will be met with removal. And now he's also sort of freeing up Amnesiac to use more expensive removal as well on future turns. Yeah, he could use the Wrath now, then use the Living Roots in a future turn, or you know, sort of vice versa, and maybe get a cycle out of the Wrath or whatnot.
Yeah, and while Amnesiac's hand might look very awkward, you know, collection of a couple Feral Rages and a Moonfire, it's actually pretty nice for him to have that Arcane Giant be continually discounted, so eventually he has a build-up. Druid at one point prior to Karazhan had a problem of being able to remove the board and then develop tempo very efficiently because of how expensive all the removal was before they were playing Moonfires. And now that Arcane Giants come in, it actually gives you an ability to swing back the board in your favor.
Yeah, the Arcane Giant big turns, kind of akin to the Molten Giant turns of Handlock Pass.
Oh, yeah.
Amnesiac doesn't have a great way to remove this Councilman. Doesn't really have any way to remove this Councilman. That Voidwalker is protecting it from the possibility of a Feral Rage, which isn't even quite enough to actually take it down.
Yeah, one of the benefits of Yulsic being able to play the Voidwalker, protecting his interest from things like Feral Rage to snipe it down. At the same time, though, Druid's surprisingly okay with the state of things in terms of its health count. It's not being rushed down. Normally by now, if a Defender Argus comes down on a multiple minions, you're just kind of sweating as a Druid player.
Yeah, but Yulsic can drop almost his entire hand here. He can play the Flame Imp into Abusive into Librarian, pumping up that Councilman quite a bit and establishing a pretty big board, especially against an opponent who is sitting on just 4 mana next turn without a swipe in sight.
Yeah, no swipe in sight indeed. And Feral Rage just to remove what's going on here, but can he buy enough time? He has a second Feral Rage to have some life gain if he needs it. And at the same time, Yulsic is pretty much just going to hope that he draws into some powerful cards like New Card coming up and finish the game before his opponent can swing.
Thankfully for the Yulsic, though, he is playing Warlock, and he has that life tap available, so he can just keep digging for more action. And there is a Councilman number 2, which will put Amnesiac in an even further tough spot in terms of finding ways to deal with this board.
All right, Amnesiac picks up Yaxtron. Not going to be the most useful card for a while. Nourish. Is he going to nourish for crystals here, or is he going to nourish for the cards?
I think he has to nourish for crystals. Hope to draw Innervate and Yaw. I don't see much way out of this outside of that, and maybe he can play Wild Growth plus Feral Rage for armor next turn to try and buy some more time.
Oh, I don't think he has much time at all.
No, he does not have time. Absolutely. Yeah, this is actually just lethal now with that Soulfire draw. So yeah. 8 damage on the board, 4 from hand, and that is going to be game number 2 for Yulsic, setting the match 3-2.
Yeah, very quick game, but to be expected, the Zoo deck still has that large advantage against the Druid. One of the few good matchups of Zoo Warlock.